former New York City Mayor Rudy Giuliani. Mr. Mayor, you dealt with some tough days in New York City, your years as mayor, with all of this. Mr. Mayor, I can't imagine, knowing you, having been friends with you for a couple of decades now, that you would ever allow what happened last night to happen again.
First person who threw a brick would have been arrested. The second person who burned a car would have been arrested. The third person who tried to hurt somebody would have been arrested, and it would have been over. And the statement to them would be, push it any further and try me, and you're going to regret it. I inherited a city that had had 2 major riots for 8 days. And I left a city in 8 years, no riots, even though we had some very, very controversial police shootings. You just didn't riot under me, Bratton, Safer, and Bernie Kerik. I'm sorry, they never even tried. So what should happen here? What should happen here is somebody should take over. Progressive Democrats are incapable of keeping their people safe because they have criminal-friendly policies that are pathetic, that are dangerous, and now we are seeing the result, not only there, but watch the cities that start burning. They're all going to be run by so-called progressive, idiot Democrats who let criminals out of jail, who set bail for murderers, and who encourage exactly this kind of thing. Giving up a police precinct, the mayor should resign. Telling police officers to flee a precinct, he should resign and be replaced by somebody who can protect his people. The governor should resign because he's had 4 days to protect his people. He is not doing it. This is about protecting people's property and protecting people's lives. 1 man has died already. How many more are going to die before somebody starts to protect the people of Minnesota, Minneapolis, the people of Atlanta, the people of New York? De Blasio is just as incapable of doing it, and just as fawning as far as criminals are concerned.
Mr. Mayor, stay right there, because
and there is no one who feels more strongly about the killing of Mr. Floyd than I do. I think it's outrageous what happened. A terribly trained police department. Whoever said that police department is well trained has no idea what they're talking about. What you saw on the streets of Minneapolis could never have happened if it was a well-trained police department. At least 5 major violations, at least 5 by those cops.
Mr. Mayor, I'm looking at these images, and by the way, your former chief of police in New York also ran the correction center. Bernie Kerik is also with us, apparently with some breaking news. But, you know, 37 minutes ago, Bernie Kerik, this curfew went into effect. Nobody's listening, Bernie, and I don't see cops making any maneuvers that I would have expected. That the mayor is rightly describing things that you did and he did as mayor and you as police chief.
Yeah, Sean, I want to touch on something the mayor said real quick. He talked about, the leadership now, that they can't control their cities now. Every one of these cities where you see these riots, you'll notice that those mayors can't keep those cities less violent they have the highest violence rates, they have the highest murder rates, they have poverty, low income housing, it's just atrocious management and leadership without the riots. Yeah. Now with the riots, it's the same mentality. And in New York City right now, I've heard the 7-9 precinct, the 8-8 precinct, there's a R&P that's been set on fire. This stuff is unacceptable.
Bernie, what did you say?
The 8-8 precinct, it's called the 1013. It's in Brooklyn. The 7-9 in Bed-Stuy. There's another precinct. Not breached, but they basically have hundreds of protesters there. They have a car on fire in Brooklyn, an R&P, a police car. This stuff is out of control. And really, it's all about the leadership. It's about the mayors. I don't blame those cops in Minneapolis for leaving when they're told to leave by their mayor. I can promise you one thing. Rudy Giuliani would have never told me to leave. And if I left,
let me go back to the mayor, Bernie. Mr. Mayor, you've lived this.
Oh my God!
What would you be? What do you tell these mayors tonight?
I inherited this. Quit. I mean, don't elect progressive Democrats if you want to be safe. That's the message of tonight. Every one of these cities is controlled by people with idiotic policies, friendly to criminals, constantly friendly to criminals, and completely unfriendly to law-abiding citizens, whether they're white, black, Hispanic. They are the worst thing that can happen to African-American communities, people like this, because they suffer more than anyone else. And what they've done for the last 20 or 30 years in these communities is outrageous. And a lot of these politicians who have run these communities, their families have become millionaires. They're also crooks, a lot of them.
And these communities may never come back.
You know, Charlie Rangel in Harlem. Charlie Rangel in Harlem, all those years, he ends up a millionaire. And what happens to Harlem? Bernie and I have to clean it up.
All right. Mr. Mayor, thank you. Bernie Kerik, thank you tonight.